Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a video about the most hyped Xbox exclusive of the year, and that is Starfield. This is Bethesda's newest title that's in-house, and it has me a little skeptical after the gameplay that has been revealed recently. But if you guys enjoy listening to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC gaming topics, then this channel's for you. So please consider subscribing. But with that, let's get into it. Starfield is a massive game, and with that comes the challenges. And the creative engine which Bethesda has been using, of course, since The Elder Scrolls Morrowind, which was one of their first titles, makes this an older engine that I'm pretty sure this is the only development company that uses an engine that old. As we see more developers moving to Unreal Engine 5. And with that, of course, you get limitations. And this game has shown so far the limitations that you could fear that could be taken out of a typical Bethesda experience. The game has no gore, no blood, or dismemberment any at all, which is a letdown because Bethesda standard is gory, bloody fights that end in body parts flying everywhere, and you get those in cam scenes of characters exploding, going limp, and losing an arm, or some fun stuff like that. But they're not in this game as we've seen. And with this game being a space title, you would be excited for that, as you can see people exploding in space and seeing body parts just floating around in space as you're flying by maybe a ship that was looted by pirates earlier. And or you get in a space fight and you blow up the cockpit and they get sucked out due to the no gravity and all that, and you watch as they've exploded and they fly by. Or on the planets when you get in gunfights and you blow off an arm, and you comes with the animations that you see in a game that really takes out that immersion and other things that you would expect in a Bethesda title. I mean, especially because Fallout 3 is chock full of stuff like that. So of course, also when you kill a creature on one of the many planets, you want to see them fall apart or explode, or you just blow off a weakness of their body, which lowers their health. But games are in the game treats its characters like it's 2002, and they just fall over and maybe a bloody puddle, and that's it. That's that. So, but this game has 1,000 planets, which is impressive in theory until you realize that they've sacrificed some essential parts of the game for that. And with that, with the gore, we've lost the FPS as well. So far, it looks like the game is running at 30 FPS, which is shown in the trailer or gameplay that's been released. And that's not good at all. Because watching the gameplay, it chugs along and it's brutal. I mean, we are in the 60 FPS generation. Gotham Knights, which had more problems, but was announced before its release that it was going to be running at 30 FPS, lost a lot of players. And I fear Starfield will do just the same. Because the game not having a steady 60, which most players now are accustomed to, with AAA titles such as God of War, or the new Dead Space will run at 60. Also Call of Duty. I mean, you have these games that have the standard of running at 60, but when you only run at 30, you can tell. It's very noticeable. It's the one thing about current gen or next gen gaming we have now, is that 60 is the standard, and when you cut out on that, you are alienating the fans of your games because they can't play that. No one wants to play that. It just chugs along. And I mean, the game so far in these gameplay trailers has a noticeable frame drop that makes it stutter, which is not good as it's only running at 30, so you're going to get 20 to 15 frame drop styles. I mean, Bethesda's last game was Fallout 76, and we know how that ended, so this game needs to be a banger. And I mean, if you're having the 30 FPS chug issue, it's going to be a chore for players to get through. And I cannot play with 30 unless I really want to, which I really want to play this game, so I probably will chug through it. Of course, I will cover it on the channel when it releases, so I will be playing it. But with a game like Elden Ring, which can run at a good 60, and I look at that game, how beautiful, how expansive, and the art direction creates this beautiful world at 60, you can't expect to get away with stuff like this anymore. It's just not happening in the games industry. But you may be wondering how they have built 1,000 planets, and the answer is procedural generation. Now, this is a new tool that they've utilized in the creation engine. They added it for this game, and what it does is it generates new terrain for maps or planets. A lot of game developers use it now when they're making big worlds. But my fear with these planets being procedurally generated is that these planets are going to be super bland and boring. Like there's resource management in the game, So you're going to have to mine and gather resources from planets for gun attachments, ship building, armor, all kinds of stuff. And I fear that many of these planets are going to have one base and the rest is just a resource grind. And if that's the case, then I would rather have 100 planets that are detailed, because could you imagine going into a random planet and you find an ancient alien race that existed before humans? All that's left is their skeletons inside the ship that had landed or crash landed, and they never were able to get out of the planet. But they wrote about traveling to Earth and the system that Earth is in, and observing the cavemen, and even leaving behind a fire tool. And you go to find out that's how humans discovered fire. Or even better, you understand where this is going. You find an abandoned ship on this forest planet, but the forest looks infected, looks dead, overgrown. Animals look different, look kind of weird than what they should on a random alien planet. And the wildlife is just teeming with infection and disease, and it looks like it's on the brink of collapse. But you board this huge crash ship that's called the Ishimura. I'm just kidding, that's a Dead Space reference. But it's a big ship that has crash landed, and it's desolate. You see remnants of a crew, but they're not there anymore. And as you get into the ship and you read the logs and you go through the hallways and the bunk rooms and the kitchen, and even you get to the cockpit and you see that there's this log sitting on the map table, and you pick it up, but it's got this weird green goo or like bloody mucus, and you wipe it off, you slot it in if that's how you read books in this game or notes, and you come to read that a virus has broken out into the planet. This crew was a kind of smuggler group that was smuggling this virus bioweapon for a military company to use in the turn of a tide of a war. And as you come to find out, the ship was attacked by pirates. It crash landed onto this planet, and due to the hard major of the crash, the cargo bay, which you could discover earlier in that quest or you discover after, has a breach hole. And due to that, the virus fell out of the ship, cracked open, and it spread. And you're realizing, oh my god, this planet's infected with this virus. And then that's when the crew emerges. It's these zombie-like creatures who are smart enough to hold weapons and are fighting at you and are trying to kill you. And then the wildlife starts attacking you as they're infected. They're a hive mind. And then you get your own mini in Dead Space or Halo Flood type missions. And you have to escape the planet barely with your life. Your ship is damaged. You just barely escaped. Maybe with the infection on board. We'll see. But instead, I worry that we're going to get very violent planets that can only be fixed by modders, which on console, I mean, you're not going to get that. And that's just a very big fear that they're literally cutting out features of this game. So you have the trailer brag features of like 1,000 planets, many factions. Oh, we have like 200,000 words of dialogue, yada, yada, yada. That's what they're sacrificing for this game. But I will say, because I like to be positive in my videos, I do have some positives for this game. So Bethesda has gone back to the old school text system, which is awesome, because Fallout 4, dear Lord, as much as it was a cool attempt, sucked. Dear Lord, that audio system was bad because you would choose words that you want to say that he wouldn't even say, dude. Like, he wouldn't say at all, and it was terrible. So they've gone back to the old text system where you choose what you want to say, and it is what you say as the AI or the characters react in the game. Now, they have implemented a new dialogue system to improve on that is turn-based. So depending on your charisma, persuasion, or maybe if you're going for an aggressive playthrough, your aggression, your kind of like body, whatever, skill, you can, over a course of turns, persuade someone into accepting your view or something. So like, if you mess up on one, you could recover on 2 other turns and get them convinced. So you're not just risking it all for one speech option. You can do it over multiple turns, which is really refreshing, because Bethesda fans, including myself, are used to the old Fallout method where you hope it works on the one attempt, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. You get into combat, yada yada. So it's very cool and refreshing to see that in this game, which will be very cool on release, of course. So also, I want to talk about the factions in this game, because factions are really cool. The factions are are interesting. I think they might be the most interesting Bethesda factions we've seen ever. But I love space games, so it's going to get me more. But you have the Constellation group, who looks like are a main part of the main story, are people who pride themselves on being the last space explorers. As space is kind of given up on due to it just being very explored, and they will factor into the main story apparently, as you see in the gameplay. And then you have the United Colonies, which is the military power of the game, who had fought in a colony war 20 years earlier and had won. They're the victors of it, and you get to meet them. They kind of remind me of the UNSC a little bit. It's kind of what they remind me of. You, of course, have the pirate faction, the Crimson Fleet, which is a pirate faction that hijacks ships, smuggles things, does all kind of stuff. And, of course, others that are introduced that are minor or you'll find in the game. And they can impact you. I'm sorry, you can impact them as you progress through the game and even work with them. Like, one of the developers talked about how you can play each one of their individual stories and you impact how they act in the main story if you work with them more or you choose not to, which is a really cool thing. I think Bethesda's really going to nail the characters in this game and how they react to you in the world as the game progresses and how you treat them. I think they've really nailed that on the head with this game. But the game also brought back something that I think that they've enhanced in this game that was from Fallout 4, and that's the base building aspect. The base building in this game helps you gather resources, and you can build them up on planets, but you have to accrue crew members to run the place, which is a really cool thing. Like, but the question is, can you have more than 3, more than 6? How many can you have to where you're just mining resources on your own? So it's kind of like like they're putting their own, like, I guess you could say their own little micromanaging crew member thing where you don't have to really go to planets and mine anymore because you have crew members on different planets doing that for you, which will be a very fun time sink to establish in the early parts of the game so you can build things later. Also, the game, which this is my most excited feature of this game, this is what makes me want to play the game, is you can build your own ships, dude. You can build your own ships, where I will seek most of my time in this game, probably. Because to sit there and save up the credits, you're working hard, doing side missions, doing bounties, doing smuggling missions, you name it, and you finally save up enough to build your own Razor Crest. I mean, your own ship, a Disney. I'm sorry, Disney. I'm sorry. But you build your own ship that you spend the next 20 to 40 hours in. How cool is that? That is awesome. I cannot wait to play that in this game. It's very cool. Something you haven't seen in titles like Star Citizen, which is a big space game. Which they need to get on it. Well, they wouldn't get their money, but I digress. I also will be playing this on PC because, modders, I need you to get that Mandalorian armor and the blaster and the rifle in the game so I can be the Mandalorian in Starfield. So, we'll appreciate that. I know the Star Wars mods will be added. I'm going to need that day one, guys. Let's get on it, okay? Chop, chop. Just kidding. But it will be cool to see. I know it'll be added. But this game, of course, releases sometime in 2023, and I cannot wait to see it. But I am skeptical because of some game issues. But nonetheless, I cannot wait to see what Bethesda will bring to us. So I will be covering this on the channel, of course. When it releases, I will be excited to talk about it. I'll talk about it more as we get more details and more, maybe another demo's release. We'll talk more about it. But if you liked the video, why don't you consider subscribing? You got through this video. Why don't you check out some of my backlog too if you're interested? Because I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video and to give your opinion. I'm hoping you guys give your opinions in the comments what you think about Starfield. Are you worried or are you not? Are you excited for this game? Do you not care about the limitations they're putting in this? If so, put them in the comments. I'd like to speak to you about it. And again, I thank you for watching, and make sure you like the video. And if you've already subscribed, why don't you hit that notification bell? It keeps you updated on videos I upload, and it keeps you up to date on anything that happens on the channel as well. But with that, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, peace.